With me is Bahman Nassiri, as he's going to take us behind the curtain to see the Golden Veil. But let's talk a little bit about Bahman.
Right. I'm an Iranian exile turned into an Iranian-American filmmaker. I am also a 32nd degree Mason trying to reveal the truth. But if I start talking, Gigi, I'll have to speak for 2 or 3 hours. So I'll leave that for a face-to-face debate with Alex Jones.
Okay, all right.
To learn more about me, viewers should type my name in YouTube search box and click on the yellow rose where they will find my recent interviews. I would like to salute Alex Jones with a message, if I may.
Go right ahead.
Gigi, do you see this?
I love it. Yes.
This is a 357 Magnum.
Yes.
And this is the gun that saved my father's life at his residence in LA in 1983, when Ayatollah Khomeini sent his little boys to assassinate him. Wow. Those who favor gun control shall regret it when their homes are invaded by terrorists, thieves, rapists, or psychopaths. But let me tell you that you cannot defend your family with a handgun. That's why I believe every family should own a long rifle. You know, the only reason those scumbag terrorists do not dare coming after me is because they know I'm fully armed with an AK-47 and an AR-15 and 1,000 rounds of ammunition. Alex, if we had 1,000 men like you, today a gang of less than 1,000 criminals would not have been ruling upon 7 billion people on earth. So I'd like to be one of your comrades. You need an Iranian freedom fighter amongst your team.
Let's jump right in and talk about the skull and bones issue.
The skull and bones, wow. You mean the skull and bones relationship with the Rosh Hashanah, where I have shown that in my feature film, The Golden Veil, and also I've talked about that in a number of interviews. Well, I'll try to explain this quickly. Okay, what do you see here, Gigi?
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, it's a pyramid.
It's a pyramid.
Mm-hmm, with a ring in it.
7 billion people lie at the bottom of the pyramid.
Okay.
The main part of the pyramid is occupied by Freemasons. Freemasons who know nothing about what is at the top, where you will see the all-seeing eye. If you turn a dollar banknote, you will see that. Okay. The all-seeing eye, a small portion of the pyramid at the top is occupied by a secret society that I have explained in my interviews. They are called the Eagles. Now, between the section occupied by the Freemasons and the Eagles, there is a section where the Skull and Bones and the Rosh Hashanah occupy. Now, you know what important figures are members of the Skull and Bones. So let me now explain about the Rosh Hashanah. The Rosh Hashanah goes back to the 16th century, and it started in the mountains of Afghanistan. Osama bin Laden was a member of the Rosh Hashanah at the age of 21. It was later on that he formed his own group called Al-Qaeda. And he actually participated in kicking Russians out of Afghanistan. Now, you may already be trying to connect the dots. The Rosh Hashanah is considered as a sister branch of the Skull and Bones.
Okay.
So now this will make it interesting for you and for those who believe that 9/11 was a conspiracy. Because if George W. Bush, Dick Cheney, etc., they are members of the Skull and Bones, and Osama bin Laden was a member of the Roshaniya, although he would never have admitted to it, then there is a connection there. You agree?
Yes, I do agree. And I always wondered why there was some kind of communication between the Bushes and that side. I didn't understand it. So please continue.
Yes. You will notice in my interviews that I explain what I know about the secret plans to begin World War III, plus more. And I state my case why it is so wrong for the Obama administration to begin dialogue with the Islamic Republic of Iran. We are at a crucial point in the history of mankind. And if we fail in stopping the demons from carrying out their agenda, billions of people will be dead as a result of a world war, which will begin with Muslims and Jews wiping each other out.
And get a little bit clearer on the actual demons. Talk about that.
The demons are the lodge of the eagles, that the Freemasons are not aware of it. In this film, I showed the conspiracy behind the Iranian Revolution and the US hostage crisis of 1979, connecting to what is happening today. The Iranian Revolution was a conspiracy. As the first step of the final chapter of the New World Order. And what we are going to see over the next couple of years is other Islamic countries in the Middle East turning into Islamic fundamentalists one by one, as we have already seen happening. And I predicted this in 2011 during an MIT debate. Why? Because the big plan is to turn the whole of the Middle East into a big enemy against the United States and Israel, to stage a big war. And behind the scenes, they will be encouraging Iran to manufacture its nuclear heads. Because to make big war, you need big enemy. You wouldn't want a war that would be over in 2 or 3 days, like the overthrow of Saddam Hussein. So therefore, I do not believe all this love affair, I call it, between President Obama and the new Iranian President Rouhani. This is all a show. Mm-hmm. Behind the scenes, they will encourage Iran, they will support Iran behind the scenes to develop its nuclear heads, and that has to be stopped. Well, you know, the war will begin between Muslims and Jews, and that is how it is going to begin, and I hope that it doesn't spread. But obviously, if you're talking of World War III, they're all going to get involved. The demons, as you call them, their big plan is to reduce world population. Before World War III, there were 3 billion people on Earth, and they used to say that the world is overpopulated. Now we have 7 billion, and natural resources on the decline. And the only way to reduce world population is through atomic wars. I know this sounds frightening, but we are heading that way. And it is up to us, 7 billion people on Earth, to stop those demons who are less than 1,000 people who are ruling upon us.
And what do you see being the next wave that will help stop that? What do you believe will be the next thing that will stand against the demons?
By people to be enlightened, to know of these plans which were drawn decades ago behind closed doors. It all began with the Iranian Revolution 34 years ago. But as I have gone into more detail in my other interviews, especially the Hagman and Hagman report, in that interview that took about 2 hours, I explained in detail when it actually originated. And we would be going back to the time, to the 19th century, when Albert Pike wrote a letter to an Italian revolutionary by the name of Mazzini. And in that letter, he predicted World War I, World War II, and World War III. And according to his writings, and that letter was displayed in the London Museum for a while before it was taken away. And in that letter, he explained how Third World War would begin between the Arabs and the Jews.
And what will the Jewish people be doing? What is their next move in the prophecy, so if that's what you want to call what he wrote? What would be the next thing? Are they going to stand up against, or is it going to be induced by the United States of America? What do you see?
Well, the only thing that Israel can do is to, and I'm an Iranian saying this, and I will, once this program is aired, I will probably be the most unpopular Iranian in the world by saying this, but the only thing Israel can do to defend itself, to prevent another Holocaust, is to bomb Iran's nuclear installations. That will put them back probably 20 years, and that will give us time to overthrow that regime and bring back our friendship with Israel. Iran and Israel were good friends for decades. Jewish people were in Iran or the old Persia since the time of King Cyrus, who gave them their freedom. And that all ended with the Islamic Revolution of 1979.
So you're not actually calling for action, though, against them. You're saying we can settle this in a peaceful way by disarming them, right?
It will never be peaceful.
Well, they are obviously not going to say, hey, here, take my nukes, right?
No, they are not going to. They have one aim. The Islamic Republic of Iran has one aim, and that is to manufacture its nuclear heads and attack Israel, because they are looking forward to Armageddon.
Well, here at InfoWars, we don't act, we're not going to say go to war. That's just not something that we're going to say. I see your perspective on it, but we're not going to condone a war. We can only pray that they will do the right thing. And with that being said, I understand that you've had some changes in your personal life as well.
Well, sure. Well, I will be glad to tell you that 5 months ago, I turned Christian.
And I have to say amen to that, and I'm very happy to hear your testimony. It's on YouTube, and it's very powerful to watch.
Mm-hmm. And that turned my life around. I finally realized that I had lived in darkness for 60 years of my life until I turned Christian.